Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. I'm your intrepid host, Mr. David Null, and my shaman name is Honkai Two Feathers. I greet you always with love and blessings, honor to you, your relatives, your family, all of your relations. So let's get right down to it. All right. Early this morning, Wednesday night, now it was early Thursday morning. I went outside and I'm doing my star checks and everything. And you can go to the last night's video for me to go into great detail about it. But I went back outside when I finished the video to check the star systems and see what was going on. Well, now I got to tell you, I do my observations from the same location. So when I go to that location to view the stars, I'm not surprised because if I walk 20 feet further, it may make the stars look different against the background of the trees and everything along the edge of the that surround me down here in my day's little world. But to the point though, so I go back outside now, where Pleiades was overhead. Before I made the video, I went back outside and Pleiades was no longer 90 degrees over my head. It should have been going west and headed that direction, literally that direction. And Orion should have been following right behind it. It wasn't. Orion was further to the south than it was 2 or 3 hours earlier. And I just stood outside and went, what? Now, I almost got back online and did another. Melanie, is that right? I want to say hello, hello. Melanie, yes. Hi there. What's halfway through your first Earth wobble? And then I do an update, right? Well, I'm just here to tell you that even last night, we were still wobbling. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, Orion dropped 5 degrees in the sky from where I had observed it 3 hours earlier. I was like, what? Because I was expecting it to finish its travel overhead and it should have followed this way as it always does. You know, that's how things work. And I was like, wait a minute. Pleiades wasn't in the same place. And I mean, I had looked up, I got a stiff neck, you know, so I got to lean back to look up, you know. I know when I have to do that to watch Pleiades, I'm like, ooh, that's in the right spot. But in 4 hours, it had traveled southwest, not west. And so Orion was now further. I mean, I could see it out the window where I'm cleaning up. So forgive me in my poor little house. I'm doing construction work. But when I talk about the window, this is my southern view, okay? And I got a storm coming in, and yeah, please, I got cobwebs. But this window right here is the one I'm talking about, and it's a clear window. I can see through there, and you know, from where I'm sitting right here in my little chair, looking out the windows facing south, I couldn't see Orion, and then just before sunrise, I could see all of Orion in the window there, and I'm not supposed to be able to do that. But the thing is that it changed within several hours. So I was watching some folks, you know, and they want to blame all this on Planet X and everything. And it's like, well, okay. Now, I just want to say that there are a lot of objects in our solar system that they're not telling us about. You can look on the LASCO and the Cora satellites, and you can see these things around the sun. You can see them coming in. They're huge. They're bigger than the Earth, and they're all over our solar system. And they don't want to bring it out into the open like some of us do. But our solar system is full of other objects. And some of these things are much bigger than the Earth, you know, but they're flying around on their own. Now, whether they're guided, whether they're hollow and they're full of space beings, the simple fact is they're there. Who they are, what they're doing. I mean, they're traveling 3s and 4s. Some of them are going this way, some are going this way, and they're not comets. They're not asteroids. These things are powered because we watch how fast Venus travels across the sky. We can watch where Jupiter is. We can watch these things transition. I had a telescope back in the early 70s. I literally went to college to study astronomy. Okay. I was hoping to get a degree in that and ended up being an amateur astronomer. It's okay. I realized that, there wasn't any money in being an astronomer, although I love the subject. So, I was looking through 8 and 10-inch telescopes back in 71 and 72, and where a lot of people are just now starting to catch up. It's been a passion of mine for years. Well, anyway, just a little bit of history. But so for me to be able to watch the sky and see it change the way it does, to be able to see things, like I've described before, I've watched the transition of Mercury. It can happen over just a few hours. You can watch it in a day's time, afternoon's time, depending on the, cloud cover or whatever, or the chemtrails. Like, oh my God, the chemtrails that came in late yesterday afternoon, they were crisscrossed everywhere. It was a flipping mess yesterday over here, over South Georgia, and they were coming in from Alabama and from northern Florida. These things were traveling to the east. So, but anyway, but to see the fact that Orion moved southward in the sky, when I was so pleased I was jumping up and down in the yard last night going, yay, it's in the right place. And then I went back out and I went, oh crap, it's in the wrong place. It's supposed to move west, not south and west. Sorry. So what's going on? Well, several other channels have been discussing in the last 2 or 3 days, the Planet X and Nibiru's back in the news again. And do I believe there's something out there? Yeah. But do I believe it's causing this wobble on the earth? And my answer to that is no. There's too much going on. It would have to be really dead-gum close to make us be wobbling around. And my reasoning for this is simple. When you look at the LASCO and the other satellites that are looking out into deep space, especially the ones looking at the sun, you're going to notice there's a lot more in our solar system than what anybody wants to tell you about. There's a lot going on. Now, the truth is that what I've been trying to explain to folks, the Earth is expanding, okay? I did a YouTube video the other day about how, there's 18 volcanoes within the United States. 4 of them are in Alaska, 4 of them are in Washington State, 4 of them are in Oregon, 3 of them are in California, and they've all been upgraded to high alert. Not just, it's there. You can't go any higher on the list. And of course, there's the ones in Hawaii that are also on the list. So the magma is moving under the planet. And because it's moving and there's so much heating going on from these cosmic rays that are heating the planet up from the inside. And these last few days, the Schumann resonance has been again off the little bit of lag there. And so you must look at all the information. So if we're getting a huge amount of solar energy, and guess what? We've got a giant solar coronal hole that's going to be facing us for the next few days. And we're going to get whipped around with some high energy density coming from inside the sun headed our direction. Okay. It's a big hole and it's headed our direction. So what's interesting, I don't ever have a lag time. So I'm talking about something that's, there's only two folks online and I'm being watched. But the thing is that the subject matter is truth. So what's up with the jet streams? Why are the storms being weird? Or why are the jet streams turning around? The earth is wobbling so much. And I've been clocking it every 3 or 4 days. But to walk outside and see Orion sink to the south instead of to the west, I got to ask myself, and I pose this question to you all, this isn't normal. I mean, the North Star, it is suggested, and I got to kind of wonder about this. Way back in the Egyptian times, The North Star was not Polaris, it was a different star. And it's because of the Earth wobble and every so many thousands, millions of years, whatever it is, because of the wobble that's been in Earth's orbit for a long time. So, even as a kid during science class and so forth and astronomy in the 70s, we understood that the Earth was wobbling. Okay. Now, to the degree of wobble, now in the 50s and 60s, we went through like a little mini ice age. It was really cold, and nobody really complained about it. It was just Mother Nature, and now everything's man-made. And trust me, we as people have created some crappy stuff on this planet. But we are not responsible for what's going on. This is way much bigger than you and me and all of us people. Mother Earth can shake us off this planet in a blink of an eye if she wants to. And when volcanoes goes off and it buries whole entire villages in a matter of seconds, proof that Mother Nature knows how to take care of herself. But to the point, with floods and things and stuff going on, there's some man-made intervention in that. I'll just say, weather modification, the chemtrails. Come on. This isn't about that. What this is about is that the wobble seems to be worse than even I was imagining, because if it's wobbling, Orion moved to the south by at least 5 degrees. It was like up here and now it's over here. Now I can see it out my window, and I couldn't before just a few hours earlier. I had to go outside and literally look up. And no, that's not supposed to happen. So we're in a situation, but for folks to continue on with this Planet X thing, yes, there are dwarf stars within our solar system and beyond and moving about, and things but what is happening to the Earth is because of the cosmic energies and what the effect of that is upon the Earth. The sun has changed. It's dimmer. We are not getting the same protection from the sun that we normally do. We're going into a Mondrian minimum. Plus, we're in this galactic soup that was warned about in the late 80s and into the 90s. I remember reading about it in Sky and Telescope. And I've been keeping up with stuff for a long time. It's my hobby. And it's easy to do. You go outside and look up. Well, so with this Earth wobble business, though, they're gonna continue to tell us it takes 13,000 years for the Earth to do a wobble. And I'm here to tell you that when you see, I go out in the yard and the tree line doesn't change. The trees are, they might grow a little over a year's time, but they're pretty much the same height. But when I can hold my hand up at the same location, I always pick the same spot because it can mess with the observation. So it must be observed from the same location every time. That is like my prime thingy. So I can hold my hand up against the top of the trees, and in one hand, two hands, and that's where the North Star should be. When I go out and I go one hand, two hand, three hand, four hand, five, oh my God, the North Star is way the hell up here. It's like 45 to 50 degrees off the horizon. It's supposed to be like 35, down here in South Georgia. And when I can see the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper together side by side down, I'm like, oh, holy crap, we're in trouble here. The Earth is wobbling more than anybody wishes to discuss. Now, this is not to be fear mongering. Okay. I'm just here to tell you that this is having the effect on the jet streams. They want to blame the jet streams again on us. Oh, it's our climate change. What about the 18 current volcanoes that are spewing gases and things into the atmosphere? Please tell me what those current 18 active volcanoes are doing to the atmosphere. And what about how much did, the Hawaiian volcano spew out in a month? and it's still producing, sulfur dioxide. And they go, nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. You can see it venting. And what else is coming out of that hole? It can't be a good gas. It's a volcano, for goodness sakes. So, but the thing is that it proves that the magma is moving under the crust of the earth. Okay. And people keep wanting to say we got a solid core. Please, the earth really is hollow. It rings like a bell. There's all kinds of information. Go back with Admiral Byrd. The issue with is that the earth is expanding. Another crack opened up down in Mexico or Argentina down in there. If the earth was shrinking, it wouldn't be cracking. I mean, it just, the oceans are warmer from the bottom up. The Gulf of Mexico is much warmer than it's ever been, Michael came through here and whooped our tails. I'm still picking up debris after that hurricane. I've been through a bunch of hurricanes in my 66 years. I grew up in Florida. My first one was like in 62 or 3 with Hurricane Debbie. Oh my God, that son of wait, I'm sorry, Hurricane Donna. Hurricane Donna. Man, that thing like to wipe us off the face of the earth back there in Tampa. We lost power for days, but we were campers and didn't know any better, anyway. But to the point though, the things that are changing now, we just need to knuckle down, folks. We need to pay attention to this. Oh my God, it's even shocking me, okay? And I thought I was over the shock business. But to see it wobble that much in one evening, to see it drop into the southern sky, I mean, the whole star system. So the constellations aren't moving. If I was just taking a pinpoint and I was using Mars, someone could say, well, Mars moved in its orbit. That's still a big deal. But it's much easier to understand that as the Earth is out of balance and doing this thing, I think the wobble is picking up speed. That's just my 2 cents to you all. And I love you all for coming and hanging out with me and listening to my point of view. But the thing is that if you know someone or you live around an area where there's some, like Hot Springs, Arkansas, I'm not saying they're in danger, but those springs are hot for a reason. There's volcanic activity under y'all's feet. Pay attention, please. There are hot spots all around. But now there are folks in Mexico and on the West Coast, and folks on the West Coast, Edgar Casey warned that California was going to drop off into the ocean. Well, I didn't realize until these last few years just how many volcanoes California's made up of volcanoes. OMG. So that means there's lava vents underneath. That means there's all kinds of stuff. And, and of course the government, they've taken surveys and they're using some of those lava tubes and things for underground bases. But the thing is that the lava is moving. All of the tectonic plates, they're moving. All this subduction and all this, a lot of it is a bunch of crap because they had to come up with a theory. Has anybody gone down there and actually seen one side go under the other? It's a lot of supposition. And because they can't understand that if the earth is expanding, maybe there's one's not going under the other one at all. What's happening is the magma from inside the earth, due to centrifugal force of the earth spinning, which is a natural phenomenon, is starting to make it come out through known cracks in the plates. So they're actually adding to the mass. Okay. But it pops up through holes in volcanoes and things. So rather than building at the plates, and out in the Pacific Ocean, you look at the ocean bottoms now, there's wonderful detail on Google Earth about the ocean bottoms, and it's littered with, guess what? Volcanoes. So they don't want to say, well, the ocean's warming and it's due to the top temperature. Anything we do on top of the earth is not going to change 7 miles of ocean. Pay attention. but there are vents, there are cracks, there are underwater volcanoes that are warming the ocean from underneath, from the bottom up. And yes, heat rises, so it's going to come to the top. And but you can't see if the water's 2 miles deep. All right, well it's 10,000 feet down, so that's 2 miles. So but a lot of folks know about it. There are hotspots that show up in the middle of the ocean on these new satellites that they have out there. And I'm wondering, I'm like, well, wait a minute. So 200 miles off the coast of Southern California, there's a big pile of SO2, sulfur oxide, all right? And sulfur dioxide, excuse me. But to the point, though, and there's a big plume of it out in the middle of the ocean, and there's nothing near it. You zoom in and you look, and there are underwater volcanoes. Well, now, why would there be a great big pile of sulfur dioxide gas over a portion of the ocean if there isn't some kind of industrial plant or something like that? It's because these gases are bubbling up from the bottom of the ocean and are collecting and then are being seen by our satellites. And it's like, some of this stuff to me is so logical. Look at the information. It's like staring at you, but because of all these hypothetical thingies, they've come up with all these geological, some of it's true and some of it, in my opinion, is just BS. Because where's your proof? I just keep asking the question. You're claiming it as a scientific fact, but you're not presenting me with enough information to prove that your theory is correct. Well, this was a subduction and this one's a that one. Really? Have you ever thought that the earth is just expanding because of centrifugal force? And the fact that you remove so much oil, what was acting as a cushion between the mantle and the rest of the earth is gone, and you're fracking and you're putting water in down there instead of oil, which isn't as thick. The viscosity is different. So therefore, the things that happen in the earth now is the fracking causing the earthquakes? Yes, in this respect. They're replacing the oil, which is our cushion. All right, it's like a hydraulic shock absorber. Okay, it's what it is. We've removed so much of it. And replaced it with water. And now, as the magma moves into these chambers now that have been emptied of the oil, so other things are moving in, and the magma is thicker than the water, and etc. And it's cracking the earth. It's making earthquakes. So are they doing it directly? But what they have done is indirectly. And it's like there is, when you look on the map, watch Dutch Sense one night when he flies into some of these areas in Texas and New Mexico and all over the place. I mean, they even have fracking wells in Alabama and stuff and Mississippi. And I'm like, what? So it's like, it's not just out there, but to the point, they're drilling down and they're pushing this stuff out to get the shale oil. Now, we all know that we can run vehicles on a lot of different other kind of stuff other than oil and gasoline. Now, oil, being in the machine industry, oil's used for a lot of stuff, and it works really good, okay? But not in the quantities that we burn in our gasoline engines when we could be using something else, something other than electric, by the way. The problem with the electric is that they need a small efficient power plant to continuously charge the batteries. It's a hybrid. Rather than being totally electric, there needs to be a 2-gallon tank of some hydrogen that will run a small power plant just big enough to keep the batteries charged, and you'll be able to run forever. Okay, that's what's wrong with electric cars. The electric in itself is not wrong. but that they have no real source. They drain the batteries all the way down, which is not really good for these batteries. And then they charge them back up, and the up and the down, and the up and down has effect on the batteries themselves. But if they had a small power plant that could, 1 gallon would run for 6 hours. So if you use 2 gallons for a 12-hour trip, but you didn't have to stop to charge, and even if you ran out of gas, you could keep driving for another 150 miles or whatever the life of the battery is. But that's my point, is they're looking at this totally wrong. Okay. Because the batteries can't hold that much energy sufficiently enough, and the batteries themselves are toxic as crap. They're using the wrong kind of battery material. So, but anyway, I got off on the subject of there, but it has to do with what what they're trying to blame us for on this planet. It's you and me that created this. And I'm here to tell you, living down here in Southwest Georgia, the amount of traffic has decreased by at least a third in the last 10 years that I've lived down here. And I've been here almost 40 years on this piece of property. And I could go up here to my to this road that goes into Moultrie, and almost any time of day or night, I'd pass a car, one way or the other, or I'd come up on or want to be. I mean, and now I can drive up and down that road and hardly see a vehicle, even in the daytime. It's like, where did all the people go? So, but anyway, and where's all the traffic? But what these weather folks and what the meteorologists and what some of these other science stations are trying to put down our throats now is, oh, look, it's the climate change again, because Donald Trump, said, no to the Paris Agreement, which was really stupid. And that it's your and me's fault that all of these issues are happening. And that's why, the storms. Well, no, the storms isn't because of you and me. No. What about all that aerosol spraying from the jets? Well, you and me, somehow our taxpayers probably pays for that crap. If they would stop it, maybe the weather would settle down and go back to some kind of normal. But see, they don't want us to be able to look at the stars. If each of us noticed where the stars were and the fact that they were bobbing up and down on a day-to-day basis, or maybe over a few hours, some people would freak the F out. And it did to me early this morning. I was just like, nah, no, I'll look at this again tomorrow night if the weather's clear, of course. But to the point, I always make sure my observations are from the same position. So I can't, if I'm closer to the trees, well, then it changes my point of view of where is Orion in the sky. So I'm saying I go to the set point in my yard, and that's my observation point. And it was up there. Now it's over there. Oh, holy crap. So these solar winds are going to get very heavy in the next few days. And the Schumann resonance is spiking today. Even I checked it just a couple of hours ago, trying to see what was going on, And it's spiking now. It's not spiking as badly as it did about 36 hours ago. It was just like off I mean, when I'm saying spiking, it spikes off the chart, but it only spikes for like 30 minutes, and then there's a little respite, and then it'll spike again. And then 30 minutes, and it might be a 20-minute blast. But then there are those days or hours where it spikes and stays there for 3 or 4 hours in a row, and it's a massive, huge amount of energy. Now, nobody's discussing why the Schumann resonance is spiking like that. And I've done some videos with Milky Way Weekly and some other folks, and my own, and I've showed that when you look at the different satellites and so forth, and you watch this energy come in, with our magnetosphere so low, we're being subjected to things that the planet Earth just isn't normally subjected to. So I wish for you to just keep this in mind. They're trying right down again. They're all over it yesterday and today, starting about this climate thing, and the jet streams are moving because the planet is wobbling. The jet streams can't keep up with this. We're literally the jet streams here, and we're kind of wobbling around underneath it. It tries to catch up with us, and in so doing, sometimes the jet streams have gotten so wonky that they've gone backwards. They've crossed the equatorial plane. Northern hemisphere jet streams going all the way across the equator into the southern hemisphere, and vice versa. Oh my gosh. How can this be explained? Earth wobble. Earth wobble. That's all. But observe your stars, observe from the same position, and I'm not freaking out, but I'm really damn surprised that it moved as much as it did. From 2 o'clock last night, or actually this morning, to 5 a.m. this morning, which is a 3 hour change, a 3 hour tour. I got lost on Gilligan's Island. But anyway, I want to send. Let me read your comments here. I got my 2 cents worth out, but they're trying so hard to make people believe in this other thing, when all the science is there, and if folks would just take a look at it and understand what's going on, and if you got some friends that are living in California with her, tell them you guys need to stay on your toes, because as things shift, if we take a heavy duty role, and they're going to try to blame this crap on Planet X. Planet X is going to have to be like really close, like damn near bump into the moon to flip us over. But the magma inside the Earth that's already moving, if a plate cracks, and they found out that there was a plate in Mexico from an earthquake last year that literally broke one of the fault lines and created a new one. Okay, so if the Earth was shrinking, it wouldn't be opening up and creating new fault lines. To me, it's very obvious. It's like blow up a balloon, party balloon, not all the way, and tie them, put a thing over it, and then cover it with paper mache, let it dry. All right. Now, in the old days, you undo the paper mache and you've got a head, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But what if you just undo the balloon and try to blow it up a little bit more? That's what happens. You'll see the paper mache start to crack in the thin places, and lines will form, and the whole thing will start to expand. That is exactly what's happening to the Earth. If you do a little bit of research about Pangea, the Earth was much smaller in diameter than it is now. The idea of Pangea was that everything was one great big island on the Earth, and over time, as the Earth expanded, Pangea came apart. The Atlantic Ocean was born, and you can take Africa and fit it up over against Georgia and Florida. And, and surprisingly, it really does seem to fit with just a little bit of tweaking here and there. But to the point, here's the thing. If you understand about Pangea, then why did the continents separate? Because the Earth expanded. What about continental drift? Do they drift on their own, or is there a motive to it? It's expanding and they're drifting apart. Duh. They tell us the truth in their lies. Well, the continents are drifting apart. Why? Well, plate tectonics. Yeah, but why? Because the Earth is expanding. Shh, no. Don't want to go there. Don't want to look at the truth. So anyway, I know I'm a conspiracy theorist all my life. But I simply wish to look at the data. And when you look at the data, you look at the history, you look at everything that's going down. Yes, these other celestial bodies can have something to do with us, but these major changes are going on the Earth because of the increase in cosmic energy heating the Earth from the inside. Its presence is shown in the Schumann resonance. That is the ultimate proof right there. We're getting spiked. Oop, there's another earthquake. Well, did that coincide with a spike? I'm on that trail. Problem is that it's the Schumann. Anyway, it's like 12, 20. It's like 14-hour difference, and it's a little weird. I'm having trouble trying to coincide their time versus UTC time. Anyway, but I have noticed that when the Schumann resonance up, that there are increased activities. That's just bottom line. And if the Schumann resonance is up, that means that the magma is going to flow. There are going to be steam vents, pumping out air. Oh, Steamboat Geyser went off again. And the thing was like, it blasted off for like 30 minutes or more just the other day. And it's the 25th this year. By the way, it's in Yellowstone. By the way, Yellowstone got moved up from a moderate to they moved it up a notch. It's 21 on the list of most volatile volcanoes, active volcanoes, or whatever. So they did an article on it, and that's the USGS, them guys. Okay, so they published the list. They didn't really put it out there a lot, but I read the list online on one of my other videos. I did one on Facebook as well. But to the point, though, they're it's like, well, okay, it's all right. We have 18 serious that moved into the severe range just recently by the USGS, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Mount Hood, Mount Shasta. What? Oh, okay. We kind of expect Kilauea and, out there because, but Mount Rainier, I mean, I've climbed on Mount Rainier. It's cool. But when I stop to think about the fact that there could be a vent open up on that mountain and know that Seattle's just like down the hill from it, literally at the bottom of the hill sits Seattle and Bremerton. Anyway, and, Puget Sound and all that. Now, normally when volcanoes go off, the ash goes, normally to the east because of the Earth's rotation. Wait a minute, is that right? Anyway, but anyway, to the point though, a lot of people out there, bunch of folk, and they're not telling everybody that they raised it up. Well, the article's out there and you can go find it and you can go read it. But the regular quote news aren't going to tell you, guess what? We've got 18 volcanoes that we just moved into the extreme alert, not high alert, but extreme. And they moved Yellowstone up to high alert, but not extreme alert or whatever it is. It's in the yellow orange where the other one is in bing red, And so it's like, so how stupid are we? But understand this is a natural thing. Don't be taken in by the Planet X thing, but it's going to flip the Earth upside down. The Earth's got its own problems, and it has nothing to do with another entity in our orbit. Will it have an effect? Yes. But there are lots of other objects out there, is my point, that are having an effect on us. But the Earth effects is these cosmic energies heating up the Earth like a baked potato in the microwave. That's, look at the science, look at the stuff, and just understand. Yeah, we just, we are like fleas on the back of a dog that gets, can get shook off if we ain't hanging on. But here's the deal. Knowledge is power. Understand, keep yourself ready. If you're in a vulnerable place, and I still keep telling folks, I wouldn't live 50 miles. If I live 50 miles from the ocean, that would be too close. And I'm talking any ocean. Simply because with a good earth change, a good slosh, if you will, could send a 20 to 50 foot wave a long way inland. And some places like down here in the South, you'd have to be 50 miles inland and you might still get hit with parts of the wave. The Okefenokee down here in East Georgia is like a foot off, above sea level. I'm just saying. So if a wave came in from the Atlantic, what's going to slow it down? A bunch of trees? I doubt it. So to the point, it's not going to slow down until it hits higher ground. And there's nothing in the way to slow it down. Just saying. So, but to the point where, you could live 5 miles inland and be 150 feet above sea level. Well, that's good. I mean, really. But to the point, though, I would still be wary. The ocean can act really nasty really quickly. You know, um, I've had I've been down in the swamp before, and it have a really heavy thunderstorm and a small um, inlet that just covers a small watershed, goes into a flash flood, and catches me by surprise, damn near drowned me. I mean, this is a true story in that respect, but you never know what Mother Nature's going to do. Well, it was just a thunderstorm. Well, yeah, it was just a thunderstorm that flash flooded an area and damn near drowned me, because I was at the mouth of this little river when it started to flood, pushed me backwards and into the trees, rolled me. I mean, thank you. I'm out of that. But you never know. So Mother Nature's like that. So when you understand that Mother Nature is Mother Nature, then we can accept and always respect her. So with that said, I don't really have anything else to say on the subject, except that I love you all for tuning in. Um, Inspirational Troop, hi there. And Sassy Susie, the mister tells me not to scare people by telling them. It makes me sad that I can't tell people without being called crazy. Hey, join the crazy club, I like to be informed, no fear. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We have to, I did a video not too long ago about, we got to start, a storm's coming in. We got a small front coming through. So then I just noticed it got darker in here real quick, and I got a lot of windows right there. But anyway, I made the angel message. They made me do it, you know, but anyway, it was like, sometimes, Dave, you don't want to talk about this stuff, but somebody's got to be the grown up in the room. Somebody's got to say, here's the evidence. Quit trying to, no, let's pay attention. Which would you rather know? Would you rather know a more plausible, for real, here you go explanation that honestly, here's science and it makes sense, and because I've been back through it, and trust me, 5 years ago, I was one of the biggest Planet X guys out there. Look what's coming in. I'm an astronomer. And Harrington and all this other kind of stuff. But then I started noticing and paying attention to like all these other bodies in our solar system that are as bigger than the Earth, half the size of Jupiter, which is really big. And like, why are you guys not talking about this stuff? Oh, but Planet X. Well, yeah, but it's way out there. And you're trying to tell me the objects that we're already viewing and have been looking at for the last 10 years. You mean none of those objects are affecting us? I mean, they're flying past the sun at breakneck speed. Aren't they kind of messing with our electric universe, which I do believe in, by the way, but it's also magnetical. It's electromagnetic, and we're all connected. It's part of the quantum, all of the above. But to the point, though, these folks are just like, no, there's no other reason for this. It's Planet X only. It's the Planet X system. It's a dwarf star. One of them, it's a stellar core. They don't have to be stellar cores. And what a lot of people is, when I talk woo-woo, a lot of folks are going to be surprised that them big-ass things out there floating around are starships, big-ass hollowed-out planets, motherships that'll hold 500,000 people easily with everything they need, traveling through space. And, it's like folks are going to really freak out when they find out that the sun is a portal, and that these objects are coming out of the sun, and that they're being brought, they're coming into this, into our solar system for a very, some of them are nefarious reasons. But to the basic point is there's so much else going on. They're trying to, I've listened to Marshall Masters last night, and he's got a lot of good information. I'm not trying to cut the guy down, but it's the only thing he'll think of. It's Planet X. Nothing about the Earth expanding, nothing about the Schumann resonances, nothing about this other stuff. It all is about Planet X. And it's not. There's so much else going on. Planet X is like just a little part of this here, you know? Planet X wishes it could have this much effect on the Earth. I mean, and the reason they were supposing it was another body was because they couldn't understand that the Earth is hollow. They couldn't back then when they started doing this, something's affecting the Earth deal. I mean, they're still trying to tell us that comets are nothing but ice, and we see the trails, that they're ice trails. No, if it was ice one time around the sun, these things would have been melted. Don't give me that crap. There's another explanation. They've landed on comets, taken pictures, and it's like, so where's all this stuff flying off? These mountains, should be like melting into the vacuum of space. Oh, well, no, they don't melt in vacuum because it's a vacuum, and then the corona protects it and all this kind of stuff. Well, okay, then why is it not disappearing? Why is the ice dust just not flying off of this thing? Oh, well, and they're coming up with all these excuses because they don't understand that space has stuff in it, and that this comet, it might be an icy ball, but it's interacting with the space around it. It has nothing to do with ice particles coming off of it. It's because it's creating a different polarity in that time and space, and it's lighting all these little particles up, and they're glowing. And that's where the comet's tail is. It's because it agitated space particles that are glowing. They're not ice crystals. One trip around the Earth or one trip around the sun, these things should be gone. I don't give a crap how big they are. The amount that's coming off of it does not equal what they're telling us. There's a huge lie right there. I never believed that crap. When they tried to teach that to me in astronomy class in college, I was like, no, come on, take an ice cube and swing it around. No, it's no, sorry. And it travels how many miles? It takes 75 years for it to come back. And it's going to be the same size it was when it left. Come on. Nah, I'm sorry. Come on. How much? So these folks are not paying attention. And I will make this little caveat because I'm going to do a separate little video on this instead of at the tail end of this. There are physics and things that most people don't know about. There is another kind of science that we are in the process of learning. And it's based on the physics we already know, but we're going to have to throw away the box and think universally. We're going to have, but anybody says, well, think out of the box. And I've said this before, but this is exactly what I mean. If you're thinking you have to think out of a box, if you have to have a box that something's going to get put in, then you don't really understand what this new physics is about, because the thought of putting anything in it, thinking out of the box. No, you got to think way even beyond that. And so that's what's going to be hard for a lot of people to understand. Now, I was doing some research today earlier about the quantum. They knew about this back in 1889. This is not new science. What? 1889. Right. This is not new science. Actually, some of it was known at the turn of the 17th, it would have been 1792 or something like that, but into the early 1800s. And I'm like, what? So they're kind of putting this stuff out there. And unless you go read who these people are, you realize that this information is 150 years old. So those folks who've been playing with this stuff have had a good opportunity to play with this stuff without our knowledge, without us being able to tag along and find out what they're really doing with all these quantum computers. Well, it's a new development. Wait a minute. You've known about this for 150 years, and you're trying to tell the rest of us that this is new? It's new to the public. It's not new to science. And for anybody that tries to keep planting that stupid, ridiculous idea. Oh, but Mr. Dave, this quantum theory is 150 years old. I just read it and I was shocked. I was like, I knew Einstein, turn of the century, that's 100. But, he learned from another guy that did, what? They knew about light splits and different things in 1850s. Okay. So they're trying to butter this thing back up. Like, oh, look what we have discovered. Think about it. When some of these guys in the 1840s and 30s, 1830, were playing tricks and doing these things, working with quantum. What? And they're trying to dress it all up like, oh, it's brand new. Look at all this. And now, but here's the thing. That's what's been hidden from us. This information about the quantum, about all these singularities and about these things. Oh, well, you wouldn't understand. Well, why don't you try us? You've given us enough information watching Star Trek and Stargate. Do you think every one of us are that flippin' stupid that we don't understand that there's real physics behind what you folks are showing me? What? Come on. The disclosure has been through Star Trek and through the Stargate series, and other series as well. But man, they've been showing us exactly what's going on because they knew 150 plus years ago about some of this stuff. And now all of a sudden they want to spring it on us like it's the new deal. Oh, come on. They've known about some of these other things too. Now, about the Earth itself, until they came up with the correct instruments, like Google Earth and things, and some of these satellites were a dumb old, hippie hillbilly like me. I was just an engineer for a tier one, automotive company, but I'm an idiot. I can't learn this stuff on my own. When somebody like me looks at the information and I go, wait a minute, this don't jive with what they're trying to tell me here. And that's why I'm here. I'm trying to tell you this information they're trying to shove down you and me's throat doesn't jive with all the rest of the science they already know about. It's not jiving. And they're trying, and yesterday and today, they're trying to do this climate crap again on us. It's all about Trump. It's all Trump's fault. No, Mother Earth. Oh, please. If you got in here late, hi, Latia, 1983. Hey, Uncle Dave. Hey, how are you? What do you think will be, when do you think we will be publicly informed, or do you think it will be beyond obvious to the sleeping public? Susie, I look at it like this. They are already telling us. And the people, and you've been in chat rooms with us, with different folks. So you get what's going on. People are sitting there, somebody made a statement on live stream the other night that he went to the zoo and or the aquarium or whatever it was. And all the kids are sitting beside the seal tank, young kids with their iPads. They're at the zoo on their iPads. And instead of walking around the zoo and checking it out and being that, they're all on their iPads. So until we get, I hate to say get rid of them, but we have to, somebody has to be an adult in the room and go, y'all put them down. You only get an hour a day, or if you're doing a homework assignment, okay. But I'm sorry, you don't get to carry one back and forth to school. Oh, well, life is different now. Hey, I grew up in the 60s, and late 50s and 60s. I rode my bike around the neighborhood. None of us, I don't know, it was at least a mile to school one way. Rode my bike at 6:30 in the morning to go to do, be an altar boy at Most Holy Redeemer, in Tampa. And it's like, what? To have thought that I had to have a cell phone to ride my bicycle to school, or to wear a freaking helmet. Now, I'm not against bike helmets, but to the point, None of us kids, we rode thousands of miles on our bicycles back then because it was one of the only things to really be able to do. You had a bicycle, you rode, man. You went everywhere. We went to the swamp, swimming in the river, man. 3, 4, 5 miles. It was easy for us kids back then, And one way, we'd ride 4 miles to the river, swim for a couple hours, and ride our bicycles back. But anyway, folks nowadays, oh, well, we can't do that. Well, and the other thing is kids don't want to do that. They have to sit with their, okay, all right. And they're texting their brother or sister or their friend, the neighbor in the house next door. We got together and did things. We had clubhouses, and these kids don't know how to do any of that. Their imagination is totally somewhere else. So I'm thinking that they have been so brainwashed with their electronic devices that even if the truth came out, they'd just go, oh, okay. All right. Oh, what? Oh, okay. They don't care. I mean, I hate to admit it, but they have been so brainwashed with their devices, they don't care what's, oh, Planet X. Ooh, some folks are like, oh my God, it's in the sky. Yeah. What about a mothership that would be 3 times bigger than Planet X that opens up its doors and said, hi, y'all, we're from Pleiades. We're here to, help y'all out with this transition. What you up to? How many people are going to draw their guns and want to blow them up? Which is like, okay. Or how many people are going to go, thank you. Are you going to eat me? If you do, you're dead. Just saying. But, there's been so many things that have been shown to people and that they're not going to know how to react. Well, I'm talking about how, planet Earth is expanding. If you go back to and do, even in my history books in the 60s, they taught about how the Earth had moved around and had expanded. And I'm thinking to myself, well, then, is something making more water? Because, if the planet was smaller, but we still had the same volume of water, did we get some more water somewhere along the way? Or maybe there's something that's making water. Just saying it, but one thing that is true, our atmosphere is much more condensed. That is a proven fact. Several years ago, about 2008, 2009, there was a big solar storm kind of event. Well, galactic and solar, that literally ripped part of our atmosphere off the planet when it came by. When was the last time you heard anybody talk about the destruction of the ozone layer? It's because when that event happened, it peeled off there's only like a 2% left. Are traces of ozone layer up there. That's one reason why they're doing all that aerosol spraying. If we had an ozone layer, they wouldn't be doing that because they would be destroying the ozone layer. So think about that. That's a paradox in itself. So they're telling people right now, I listened to the tail end of his speech last night with President Trump. Guess what he made sure was in the speech? The space program. Guess what else was in his speech? The new technology coming out. Guess what else was in his speech? The new health things that are on the rise. Now, there are a lot of people to beat the crap out of Donald Trump. But again, I state, as is known, his uncle was, cleaned out the room after Nikola Tesla passed away. His uncle was in charge of that. They used to sit down as uncle and nephew and have talks about stuff. Okay. They just in conversation, Trump knows more than the average cat because his uncle, whether he physically knew Tesla, he knew Tesla's information firsthand because he helped clean out the apartment. Okay, just saying. And that's all in the history books. This isn't like a conspiracy theory to drum something up. No, this is fact. And so, but what did he make sure was in his speech along with the fake news? Space program. That's telling everybody he's trying to pull together all of the rogue elements, and he's disclosing it by simply saying space program. Same thing with new technologies. I mean, I live in South Georgia. They're going to put in a steel plant in North Florida. And I'm thinking, well, where? I understand. I've looked at it and I've thought to myself, oh my God, that's a really good idea, But at the same time, wow. And Trump's on the bandwagon with that, with Governor Scott and the other guy that's running for Senate down there. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to support these guys? Seriously, what are the Democrats offering? Oh, mamby-pamby, this and that and the other thing. Well, okay, this ain't about politics. But my point being is there are people who are disclosing things right now. But do you understand what they're saying? Now, I've done so much conspiracy theorists looking at this and that. I get it. I see it. I understand it. Okay. And I'm having this conversation with you. There are a lot of hidden things in there by the white hats. And they're going to blame it on this. And some guys are a little on the fence, they've done some bad acting in the past and so forth. That there's some weird stuff. But you know what? Sometimes you have to deal with the enemy. And I've been in a situation, when you work with a plant where there's almost 800 employees, you're going to have a conflict with somebody. There's politics involved in that. And I learned how to play them politics so many years ago. And I realized that you can't treat everybody the same way. You got to be a chameleon with some folks because you're just going to butt heads no matter what. And so I learned how to butt heads with the best of them. And I realized the button heads didn't do any good. That sometimes, and I would give them the credit for something when they knew damn well and good it wasn't their idea, and kind of make them look foolish. But it was his idea, and I just helped. I was glad I could be a part of the, that engineering solution there. And everybody'd kind of look around like, we know damn well and good he didn't come up with that. You did it. But I gave him the credit. And what it did was, it was like, instead of me going, wait a minute, he didn't have anything to do with it, I gave it all to him. What did it matter to me? I was getting my paycheck. Just because I solved the problem didn't give me any, I didn't get a bonus for it. Well, actually I should have. But anyway, when you save somebody $1 million, don't you think they could pay you a little bit, Anyway. So when people are talking about disclosure and things and telling the truth, how many people are really going to look up from their iPhones? How many of the kid generation are going to look up? Now, I got to say, there are some young folk who are on top of this stuff, and you can call them, the new kids on the block, whatever you want to name these, star seeds, however you want to go there. Don't care. But there are some really intelligent kids out there right now. And the cell phones and tablets have increased that intelligence, but they had a core value before they got on this planet. Just saying. And I'm 6 months ago, February this year, I saw a turnaround even in the young folk. I'm talking under 30 crowd. And I have 2 granddaughters. And a grandson that all fit in this category. Now, my eldest granddaughter, she was in the Navy for 4 years, and in communications. I would have loved to sit down and ask her what secret she played with, and what was the Navy about, and what were some of the things you saw while you were in there, girlfriend, But to the point, though, it's like, but they're still in this newer generation with cell phones. Now, I don't mean just tablets, but I mean cell phones. I mean, I grew up. I lived out here in the country. I didn't even have a regular phone, let alone a cell phone, and people were like, what? I mean, damn, I had a black and white television when everybody else had colors televisions. Because it was more about just watching it than it was to have all the beauty and the sound and all that. Anyway, but that's me. Now, yeah, I got a big, I don't know, 37-inch over there, but it's like, okay, big deal. No, it's not that big. Anyway, to the point though, yeah, I like to watch my movies and things, and sure, thank you for HD, but it's like, I haven't had it on in 3 days. I realized I was going back into a syndrome where, and I was watching old McHale's Navy and stuff like that. And I realized I was trying to distract myself from listening to the spirit messages. I didn't want to hear no more. It was almost like I'd been getting too much download. And then I realized, I have to turn everything off. I got to watch a couple videos, close the computer. Not even any radio, nothing. Listen to silence. And oh boy, the last couple of days has been like, here's some good stuff for you, Dave. But then when I turned it on again and I'm checking through the mail and looking at the things and I'm looking, but here these people are going at it again. Oh my God, the volcano going off. It's Planet X. Where is it? Well, we think it's over there. How far away is it? Well, it's a good ways out. Okay. What? Keep going. Tell me. But it's over there, and when another volcano, it's got to be Planet X. And it's it's a stellar core, and it's because it's so dense but where is it? But it's out there. We think it's over there. Okay. I agree. I think there is something over there, but I don't agree that it's having these effects upon the Earth, because otherwise Mars would be screwing with us more. Jupiter would be screwing with us more. I'm just saying, look at the data already there. Now, my point about this is, I will say this again. I said it earlier on. Some other folks have joined. Bless you all, folks. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody. It's just that they're not looking at, wait a minute, let's step back about this. There's stuff out there happening. And if you look at the Schumann resonance, explain that one to me. Is that a stellar core? Is that Planet X? Is that some kind of monstrous something? No, that's because of incoming galactic waves are heating the Earth up from the inside. It's got the magma moving. It's warmed up and things are moving. Centrifugal force of the Earth. And as it's trying to move through all the tunnels and the fractures and the things, it's creating more. And as the Earth expands a little more because of this heating, she's expanding out like an egg would be. And, it's like, okay, these things make common sense to me. And the science is staring at us in the face. So why do we have to come up with this other thing when the science is already here? Okay, I still think there's a Planet X out there, but I don't think it's what's causing these effects on the Earth. I don't believe it. I don't believe it because of the science. And even some of these folks they're showing us the science. But at the same point, it's like, well, if this stellar core, then how come Venus isn't wobbling in its orbit? How come Mercury, which is much smaller than Venus or the Earth, isn't like being thrown off somewhere? Because Mercury's so small and it's so close to the sun, why isn't it being yanked into the sun? Oh, well, it's the closest one in. Yeah, but it's a really small ball. Why hasn't Mercury been eaten by the sun a long time ago? Because if your theories about stellar cores and all these Planet X stuff is so true, the magnetism is so dense and all this other stuff, then how come these things aren't affecting the rest of the planets? What about the minor planets? What about the little dwarf planets, Ceres and Sedna and the other one and this and that one, inside the solar system? And some of these rocks that are flying around the Earth. Why aren't these things being sucked into this gravitational well and being part of this? Why are we having things orbiting our planet, but not being sucked off by all these other magnetic forces? But there's a Planet X is out there, and it's going to flip the planet upside down. What about all these other rocks? Aren't they going to get like sucked over to it? I mean, this is it, and I used to be there. I used to be one of those people. And that's when I went into the information for myself and said, there's something else going on here. OMG. And I took a Dr. Mr. Spock on Star Trek approach to it. Let's think about this logically. What's already here? Well, the sun has cooled down, it's changed colors, our magnetosphere has changed. We're getting bombarded almost 10 times harder than we normally would when the sun it was more normal a few years back and the earth had a bigger magnetosphere. When you look at the information, it has nothing to do with planet X or anything else attached. These are chemical, electromagnetical kind of changes. Huge amounts of helium coming from, guess where? The galaxy. The whole solar system is going through this cloud. It's picking up all these energies. When people say that there's a vacuum in space, it's a vacuum up to a point. But it doesn't mean that there's nothing in space. It's full of stuff. And the thing is that they're trying to make us believe that it's like blank, empty space, 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 space. No, that's why a comet's tail is there. It's because it's agitated things in space and caused it to glow. It's like the plankton in the oceans. In the summertime, it gets warm. I mean, PT boats during World War II, if they went on certain days when the plankton was high, it would their wake would glow in the dark for miles behind the PT boats, and the Japanese could spot it. And and that's how we could find the Japanese as well. But it's in the ocean. It's plankton in the ocean, and right now I can't think of the name of it. But it used to come into Tampa Bay. Well, I remember one of the times I first did LSD, or the third, fourth time. The phosphorus. The phosphorus came into Tampa Bay. And I went into Tampa Beach on the Courtney Campbell Causeway, and we went swimming. I mean, underwater when you're going like this, and your world starts to glow around you and swirl and everything. Oh my God, I didn't want to come up for air. I wanted to live on the bottom forever. That's what's in outer space. You don't see the plankton until they're agitated. You don't see the plankton in the water until you move your hand through the water. That's what's going on. All of these things can be explained, but in a different term. They've got to come up with some kind of philosophy and a theory that they can't explain in a million flipping years, and they want the rest of us to swallow it. Well, I've been in academia. I've studied astronomy at a college, and I still didn't buy a bunch of what I'm still not buying it, And I'm like, and I've had telescopes and I've been observing the sky, and you're trying to tell me that my observations are flipping wrong. That no, the earth can't wobble like it is. Want to bet? Want to bet? Go outside and look. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. We can't see the sky. You put chemtrails up there, so we can't look at it. Oh, well, how many people really care to look to see if a certain constellation's in the same point in the sky? They can't get their head out of their cell phone or their appliance, And it's like, please, 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 please look at the information. And I know I love you all, and I'm going to put my glasses on and read your comments here in a second here. But I'm like, you know what? The information really is there, but how you discern it, how it's being brought to, how is it being presented? And I don't want to mention any names or anything, but I listen, and I'm respectful, and I don't make any nasty comments in chat rooms or anything. I listen because there are gems of information hidden between the lines, but people are using current scientific knowledge to try to explain these phenomena. And there is a different science, a different philosophy of the science they already know that some of these people are having a hard time getting their PhDs around. I'm just saying, it's a different reality, and somebody's got to be the grown-up in the room and say, y'all, you guys and all your smartness, You can talk a technical term until you're blue in the face, but you haven't explained to me with the data that I'm observing, you're using what you were taught. So you're thinking in your box, trying to have to think out of the box. I don't have a box, so I can't think out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, but these people, because they learned academia, because they were teachers of it, all kinds of PhDs everywhere. I'm not picking on any particular one. There's several other that I would like to throw into this mix. So I know there's some of you in here. Well, I think he's talking about Dr. A. Well, there's a Dr. B and a C and a D and a few others too that are in this mix. Well, I'm a NASA scientist. Yeah, but you're dumber than a box of fluffing rocks. I'm sorry. Your idea, well, the molten core and this and that. You can't magnetize a molten core. Oh, well, this thing about the Earth's polarity. Yeah, we got to, oh, come. Observe the other planets in our own solar system, and some of the mechanics here. Pay attention to what you're saying. Oh, well, that can't happen on Earth. Oh, that, blah, blah, blah. But 2 sentences later, they'll say something like, well, about Pangea back in the day. And we were, but at the same point, they don't believe in the expansion of the Earth. But then they'll use a reference point back. I mean, they contradict themselves all the time. So and my point to this is that through academia, they are approaching what we're observing now through the eyes of academia. And they're having a hard time getting rid of that mantle of the schooling and how they were taught and what they were taught. And so they've been in a big box for a long time. So more tree limbs falling out of the tree. Wow, it's raining pretty heavy out there. We needed a good shower. But to the point, though, I'm critiquing these people, but not criticizing them. I'm critiquing them because they're trying to use certain available scientific techniques that simply don't work in this paradigm. And they're having difficulty getting out of it. They're not stupid. They've got a lot of intelligence and a lot of information. So I'm not picking on anyone, but I am critiquing them in that they're trying to see it through a scientific model that they have been taught, and it's not fit. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So I love these folks, and some of these folks like Dr. A, we know who that is, and I think that person has a great point of view and is trying desperately to get out of the box. But in trying to do so, that this person is still relying on the academia that was taught. So unless you learn a new type of physics or a new kind of science, then, you got to try to fit it in. You got to try to make it work. And in my opinion, I've always looked at science as, everything is observation. That's like the biggest rule of science. Science is observation. You take periodic checks, and then they found out that if you check too often, you can actually affect the changes. Well, I wish that I had known that I affected the Earth rolling over to where, oh my gosh, the constellation of Orion moved 10 degrees in the sky in 4 hours time, please. But with that said, I just think these folks, and I've said it before, and I will continue to say it, there is a newer science that fits this, but it's not being taught generally. It's not being looked at. And maybe it goes into the woo-woo where a lot of folks are, fear to tread. But to the point, though, what's happening, they can't explain with their current trend of thought. Okay? Not that they're stupid, not they're ignorant, or that they're wrong. They're trying to explain it with the information that they have. That's all. Okay? So if you think I'm trying to beat somebody up, please understand I'm not. I'm literally praying for these folks to get it, to think, oh my God, I need to throw the box away because I need to, oh my God, oh crap, they're getting there. And I continue with positive thought and positive comments and things. Even though I may not agree, I will still put a positive thought to these people who are trying. Okay? I hope that makes some sense. I'm not trying to beat anybody up on this because this is all kind of new stuff. But I've had an interest in science and all this for all my life, at least 15 years. Well, 13 years. I'm 66. For the last 50 years at least, I've been studying these things just as a hobby, and in some of the work that I've done. So, anyway, Melanie, thank you. You say I'm making perfect sense. That's just it. I'm looking at it. I put myself into how would Mr. Spock look at this? I mean, what would and being an actor and director and so forth, I would tell my actresses, look, think of a character. Okay, you're going to portray this character in this play. But now I want you to pick someone in your lifetime, an aunt, an uncle, maybe it's a television character, and think about, is there somebody out there that acts sort of like what this character is trying to portray in this play? Now, I don't want you to copy your aunt, uncle, or TV actor, actress. No, I want you to think about it and then use that as a reference point so that you can interpret it yourself, right? Anyway, so when I look at things, I can put myself in another person's shoes and go, all right, now, how would you look at this? And, play the character, if you will. And so, it's like left side, right side, I play the devil's advocate with my own theories. All right, Dave, what's wrong with this one? Well, it's this, and this. And yeah, but I don't know. I'm my worst enemy. So when I have conversations with you on this, trust me, I've had a crap load of conversations with myself, to try to figure this out. I mean, I was one of the biggest Planet X proponents way back in the day before WSO and some of these Steve Olson and folks, I'm not down his name. I'm just saying I was doing it before he jumped on board is my point, just as a point of reference, nothing else. And so, but here's the thing. We are all seeking the truth. But now the truth that I just spoke to y'all about what's going on through dreams and downloads and a lot of crap load years of doing research. Okay. I just didn't come up with this off the top of my head. But when you start tying all these little pieces together, it just makes sense looking at it from a Mr. Spock point of view. So thank you all. I'm going to read some more what your comments were. The last medication is withdrawal that requires, wait, let me go back. Let me scroll back up here. It's raining pretty good. Tech is just a copy of our, wait, sorry. I don't like the new technology, says Susie. You think it would be good to have a solar flare that wipes out all the commuters and AI? I didn't used to think that way, Sassy, but I'll tell you what, I'm almost to the point where, it's not that I don't want us to ever have it again, but I think there needs to be shut them all off for a week, 2 weeks. Just shut them off. Can't have them. You're going to have to talk with one another. And as a matter of fact, my little town of Meigs, just up the street from me, I went in there and after the hurricane and, a lot of stuff and, a lot of damage, no one killed, or at least not that I know of, a lot of injuries and things. And anyway, nasty mess went through here. But so I'm asking folks, what'd you learn from the hurricane? What'd you learn from the hurricane? And what I heard was, and I was like, not really shocked, but shocked. I realized that after 6 hours without a cell phone or the television, that I couldn't control my children. And by the end of the second day without electricity, we were all driving each other bat crap crazy. And I was like, really? And somebody over on the other side said, oh, yeah. If we'd had batteries for our portable DVD player, anything to have shut my kids up. And I'm thinking, I grew up without any of that. Television was on for like maybe 3 hours a day. It came on during the evening news with Chet Huntley and David Brinkley. And this is Walter Cronkite. It was CBS News. Anyway, but to the point though, it's like, and then we watched, I think it was The Dating Game was like the big thing there. And, before Wheel of Fortune, there's that hour between the news and 8 o'clock when prime time starts, So it's 8, 9, 10, so by 11 o'clock, the TV was off and everybody in the house was in bed. There wasn't any other thing electronic. There was one phone in the house, and that was in the kitchen. If the phone rang, you had to get out of the bed and run down the hall. And it was a party line. There were 4 other people on the same line that we had, so if it rang, you might pick it up and it might have been for the neighbor. I mean, things are totally different from when I grew up. But the thing is that we all survived. We made it, we went to the library, had fun, and anyway. And now I'm not saying that this new technology is all wrong. The way it's being used right now is, oh yeah. I think there's some nefarious things about that. And I'm going to do a separate video on mental illness, mind control, and flashing lights. Thank you, Sassy. I like your opinion too. I homeschooled my daughter because she can see certain energies that distract her at school. They couldn't take me out of school, but when I was watching people's auras, people were like, what are you looking at? And I, well, don't you see that around? What are you looking at? They put me in the slow class. I get it. Well, that's, as her mom, thank you for honoring her abilities. Absolutely. I explained to my daughter that doctors use MRI machines to see people energy. I'm so grateful you homeschooled. Yeah, public school is flat out bad on you. Yeah, especially these days because of the electronic devices. It was bad enough back in the day, but now because people are carrying electronic devices that hum and sing and do things in frequencies that we can't necessarily hear, it's having a lot of effect on us. Latia, 1983. Do I know you said hi, Uncle Dave, and you know me too well? The world has changed already with you, and you've healed my past. I don't have the words to express how much I've gained. My sorority named me Meek during our initiation. I did inherit the earth. Yep. Yeah, the reflection in the mirror. There are those of us who have, and it's through my drug addiction and everything. And I talk about it sometimes as well. Wow, that time I did acid was really great. But then there was times that I did some really stupid things and I regret them horribly. And I had to look in the mirror and go, well, I was drunken on drugs and, hang on, I had to look at myself in the mirror and go, wait, we have changes to do here, just because you were a drug addict does not make you not responsible for the things you may have said or done. It just doesn't, Well, but I was addicted to drugs. Well, that might be true, but so a lot of information, so when you look at yourself in the mirror and you like what you see, that's a good thing. And much love to you. Yeah, I'm going to have a discussion on medication. I'm going to do a separate video on medication and withdrawal and mental illness. And yes, so anyone who can get out of it from the mental health issue and the mental illness thing and so forth, I am going to do another video on it. In fact, I should be doing it instead of this one, but I wanted to do an update. And that some of these people are just absolutely like, I can't believe how crazy they're getting again. They go into a frenzy. It's like, well, this somebody says, well, it must be Planet X, and Pastor. Well, I try not to name any names, but it's like, oh, it's Planet X again, and oh, it's this. How about a fourth of the sun is got a great big hole in it, and we're getting crammed, smashed with solar energies and galactic energies. Pay attention to that. The 5 waves of energy. Well, but that's true. And the thing is they're coming out of the galaxy, and the best thing we can do is put on our personal flotation devices, learn how to tread water, and be prepared. That's it, But cursing each other out and telling each other that we're stupid, or going back to the same paradigm, I think that's what's getting me. 2 years ago, people were at this level with Planet X and the this and the that, and and it's like, and now that there are extra volcanoes and everything, it must be Planet X. And I'm going, no, please look at this. Look at the rest of the information, please. Please look at the rest of the information and just forget Planet X. You got to just erase it for a little bit. You can't just count it, but just don't bring it into this equation, please, for now. And look at the rest of the information. It's already here. We were headed into this cloud in 1989. They told us about this in the studies. We're going to be going through this cosmic cloud in the future. We're here, So don't get upset about it. Please stay calm. Be prepared, because anything could happen. Now, could the earth roll upside down? I didn't think possible. And I still don't think possible. And here's the reason. There's too much centrifugal force. There's too much molten lava underneath our feet moving around that we don't know about, that most of us aren't aware of, that if you've ever had a top and spun a top or a gyroscope, these little toys where you pull the string and you try to move them around, you stand them up and they sit there and spin. Okay, that's it. It will wobble. But you try to turn that gyroscope upside down, it's going to walk all over you and all that kind of stuff. That's the reason why I don't believe the Earth's going to flip upside down. We will change magnetic poles, having nothing to do with the Earth flipping upside down. Okay, we've already rolled, but there's too much centrifugal force of the Earth. Can the Earth just stop? No. We're traveling at 1,000 miles an hour, spinning. How you going to slow it down? What's going to stop it? We think about, you might stop the object, but what about all the fluids in the earth that are traveling? That's what's happening. We're out of balance. We're wobbling bad like a bad tire, and we're getting nuked like a potato in the microwave. And that basically sums it up in redneck terms. But it's the truth, And so for anybody to try to puff it up to be something else, to me, that is fear mongering. It's Planet X again. Oh, we told you this is going to happen. Well, but none of us can still see it. With my binoculars, high field, binoculars, with my, telescope, I can't find it. I see a dot up there, but you're trying to tell me that that's Planet X. Way out yonder is making this earth wobble like this. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, I don't believe you that it's having this effect on the earth. Is there something out there? Probably. I'd agree with you on that. Probably. But it's not doing what is happening. So thank you, my loves. I love you all dearly. I do. There are times when I'm not on the computer and the sound is off, and I'm just allowing the spirit to, come through me and teach me and continue to bring me wisdom. And I think about you folk. And I was like, well, Sassy Sue, I hope she's doing okay today. Or Melanie, I hope Melanie's okay. Or what about Marie? Or how's Wade? Or, all the people that have come into my life because of this YouTube channel and because of the fact that you'll sit down and just let me have the discussion with you. Just here, let me point this out to you. And I never try to force it on you, but at the same point, pay attention, please. Here's the information. You want to know what it is? Try this on for size. And I thank you all for being so nice and inspirational to me, because you are what make me get back on here and do it again. Someone, and when I first started this and I had my conversation with Mother Mary, I said, nobody's going to listen to this. They're really not going to want to listen to this. It's out. There is no box. It's so out of the box. And she said, Dave, one person. If you salvage one, if you help one person to understand, that's going to blossom. And, I've had 2 people join my channel today, and I was like, thank you so much. I'm so blessed. There are over 100 people. And I thought that 10 was like my goal, and that was going to be what happened, and 10 people, and we were going to have a nice community, and we were going to be just like we're doing now. And it's like, thank you all. So I'm humbled beyond description. I really am. And so I'm going to cut this. I got a butt cramp. My coffee's out. And many thanks, Melanie, Sissy. I can't see who else is on. But much love to you all. So my ending prayer, as always, is to you, yours, your elders, your ancestors, all of your relations, all of those who have gone before us. May they pass along this knowledge and information. May you and all of your family and friends in this plane accept and receive all of the healing that's available in the universe at all times. So stay in touch with the quantum, everybody. Melanie Weisler, you are most definitely a somebody. But to even print it, shouldn't be doing that. You are a very definite somebody. You have a purpose. You have family and kids, and you understand. You are definitely a somebody. And that's something I had to stop doing. Well, I'm nobody in it. Yes, I am. Am I the end all be all? No, but I am a somebody. And Melanie, you are a somebody. Please, I'm asking you, please stop writing, I'm a nobody, because you are. When you put those thoughts, and especially when you type them out, you're putting things out into the universe to make them true. So put in there, I am a somebody. You just might not know who I am. But you are a somebody, and you're somebody to me. So please take that to heart. This is serious stuff. I was the worst person, my worst critique. Dave, you're a dumbass. What a stupid shit you are. I was cutting myself down 10, 20, 50 times in an hour, and I'm a nobody. Who am I? Blah, blah, blah. Can't go there. You have to change the words. We have to change the words. Must change the words. I am a somebody. And you may know how to do this, and I may know how to do that. I'm not better than you, but I am your equal. You are my equal. That's one of the things that Jesus and Buddha and some of these religions are trying to tell you, that we are equal. We are brothers and sisters in this. We are the same. Okay? I mean, it's like, all right, we are the same. Well, you're not better. You may be better at a video game, but I know how to saw a board. You may be better at that, but I'm better at this. But together we make a hell of a team. But we all are worth something. We all are somebodies. And when we stop criticizing ourselves, that's a big Band-Aid on a wound. Because when I came to the realization that I was my worst enemy, that I was continuously, downplaying my own abilities. And it didn't have to be with, well, I didn't change it to I'm nobody to I am the greatest. I just said, wait, hang on. I am a somebody. I am. I'm a person. You may not see the value of me, but that's okay. And I may not see the total value of who you are, but you're a person. We're having conversation, and that makes you very much worthwhile, in my opinion. You have a head on your shoulders. You have a family. You do these things. You put up with this crappy life of this 3D dimension. You've tolerated crap and things in your lifetime too. So we are the same. We're just living in different places in different reality. Your house looks like that, and mine looks like this. I got clothes hanging in the, but they're clean clothes, and that's to keep them dry and not moldy. But to the point, though, it's like, please, I'll put my glasses back on to see your response. Melanie, please, you are somebody. And many folk that I notice, I did a video several months ago about speaking in the positive. That is the magic that we need to regain for ourselves. How we speak about ourselves, how the words that we choose. Are we speaking in the positive, or are we speaking in the negative? And one of the things that I know I'm going on about this is that we call ourselves names, or I'm not very good, or he's better. Uh-uh. I'm at least as good as the next person. I don't have to sit down with a scorecard because we're all human beings. We are all made with the image of the Creator. We're all spirit beings. So in that, you are somebody. We are all someones. So Sassy says, I need your talks, Dave. Thank you. You're absolutely welcome. You're awake. We need each other. Okay. All right, Melanie. I was reiterating Mary. I thought, okay, all right, it's all right. I understand, but we're all on the same journey, but we are on different paths. And it's like I grew up in Florida around Tampa, and so looking at the stars, I could barely find the North Star because it was so far south. So I move up here, and by degrees, okay, I believe in a round Earth, but you know, um, and the thing is that the sky is the same, but it's not. It's my perception and my perspective, if you will, of because now I'm in southern Georgia instead of Tampa, Florida. The stars all are in their relative place in the cosmos. There's Pleiades and that. There's Orion, da da da, okie doke. So that reality stays the same. But now, as I move further north, all of the planets change in their perspective as to where I am. Now, that's my point of view. So each of us we're all living in this life, but the person up the hill for me may be just up the hill, but they're in a different paradigm. They're on top of the hill. They can see the storms. It's we're in the same neighborhood. They're a few years older than me, so we're of the same genre age kind of thing. And but their reality is totally different from mine, even though we're living in this same spot. I mean, family members living in the same house have different points of views to the point of fist fights kind of thing. Okay, so it's like each of us is a point of reference in this quantum field. Some of us vibrate at different frequencies, and some of us don't vibrate, hardly at all. And so the interesting thing in looking at the science, but also in my opinion, in looking at human behavior, it's like, when the quantum field and things were brought up, and some of the string theory and the waviness, and that things don't really rotate, but they vibrate, and that an electron versus a proton versus a neutron and the vibration. And they're trying to determine, now this was back in 1850 something, 1858, I think. They were trying, yeah, really. They were trying to determine whether or not they could mathematically figure out where it was going to be. And their issue was because they vibrate instead of follow a particular path. Oh my goodness, they were somehow that freaked them out, and the quantum began almost 200 years ago. Who would have thunk? But so our perspective of life, just simply because of who we are, makes us that observation point in space, you know? And I agree. We can. I just think about my brothers and sisters. We grew up in the same house, but we're not at all really alike. We share common things, but we're not alike. More alike than maybe other people. But we are. But our point of reference is one thing, Patrick. This is my point I was trying to make on this is that, and I agree with you. But there's also our point of reference. We can all be on the same path and the journey, but simply because of where we're standing, it's going to be a slightly different point of view than the guy standing or woman, person standing right next to us. So it's even more than a path that we're on. It's our observational point of view while we're on the path with the rest of us. I I know that's really pushing it out there. So butt cramp, butt cramp, butt cramp. Old man has to get up and stretch, and it looks like the storm is mostly over. So I can go out and play outside again. So much love to all of you folks and prayers. And I agree. I agree with you, Patrick. I really do. I was trying to show that there's even a higher level to that thinking because of the scientific model. Just thought I'd throw it in there. So much love, y'all. Be safe, be kind, be gentle, and be compassionate. Until next time, and I got one coming up talking about mental health. So y'all show up if you can. So much